Hello, everyone. Happy New Year.
Hello.
Hi, Happy New Year, everyone.
Hello. So we'll do the usual, so this is the January 7 meeting. Feel free, let me share the doc in the chat.
It's shared already.
Oh, it's shared already. Thank you. And so what we'll do is the usual. So you see in the attendees section here, you can put your name, your employer, if you feel comfortable sharing, what you'd like to be talking about today, or if you're just listening in, right? And it's all right to just be a fly on the wall and listen. And we'll build the agenda from this, and then I'll do my best of doing time management and prioritizing and trying to make sure we have time for the various topics. So we have 12 attendees and 9 names. So I realize I haven't. Sorry, we're colliding. Put my name. Oh, so I see some people who may not have access to the doc. If you don't have access to the doc, it's probably that you're not in the Google group for the meeting. So yeah, so make sure you join the Apache Parquet community sync group, which the link is in the email I sent to the list. In the meantime, use suggestions and we'll approve them in the doc. So as usual, so I'll be taking notes while the meeting is going, but please don't hesitate taking your own notes in the document as well, like adding information, especially linked to relevant pull requests or documents or dev list threads. And that's always very useful. right? And I think it's actually pretty convenient to be able to all like collaborate on the notes as we go. And and if there's conversation starting in the chat, it's okay. It's just like don't hesitate to bring it back to the to the meeting as well if there's something interesting happening, right? We can don't feel like you have to stay in the chat to not disturb the meeting. Okay, let's get started. So let's see. We have the footer, input stream optimization. Okay. Right. So I think if Alkis will show up a little later, maybe we keep the flat buffer footer discussion for the second half of the meeting. That way he'll be there. So I'll put it toward the end. And I think you probably can start with the release vote. I think that's a good one. I apologize. I just came back from vacation on Monday. I haven't had time to run the build myself.
Yeah, that's no problem. I understand it's like holiday season, but just to bring it back to everyone's attention, I understand everyone has like a full mailbox, but if you have to type, please take a look. I already did some tests; it looks good, but always love to get people just to plug it in your own whatever you're using and see if you have any regressions or if it works, and let us know on the mailing list. It's pretty important because it also contains like drops Java 8 and it also fixes like a pretty important CVE that comes from what's called the serialization format by Google. It's like protobuf. That's one. Yeah. So please take a look. Thanks.
Yeah, and the board report deadline is upcoming, right? We have 1 week to submit the quarterly board report, so it'd be great to have the release on it. Not that it's kind of an artificial deadline, but it's kind of nice to have the latest release updated on there.
Is that CVE on Parquet code or some dependency?
It's on the protobuf dependency.
Oh, okay. Not so serious then. Just the usual protobuf hell. All right. Thanks.
Thanks, Douglas.
Sounds good. Yeah, I think personally I should have some time today to look at this. And I encourage others to do it as well. Okay, let's so do we want to talk together about the file path status and the implementation status? I think we can group those. They're two different things, but they're related. And okay, who wants to talk about, unless there's, if you have another question about the release or comment, please do it now. Otherwise, we can move on to the next topic, the file path status.
I put those on here. I just wanted to give a heads up that I think they've been through a few rounds of revisions, and I think the wording is reflective of kind of the current state of where things are. So if anybody else wants to take a look at it, Dan's not here, but I'll follow up with him offline and see if he has any more concerns. But effectively, it's really just documenting that nobody's ever implemented using file path except for like the summary, Parquet summary files use case, which itself is not part of the spec, but I think some people might still use. Yeah.
Sorry, who did you say who was not here, but you would get their
Dan Weeks. He had some comments on it. Yeah, but if anybody else has comments there, let me know. The only thing that's kind of related to implementation status there is like there was a row entry on implementation status, or there is row entry on implementation status saying file path, and it has at least Java and Parquet, Java and C++ marked as supporting it, which they don't. They just support like reading the actual field for exactly the summary file use case. So I have a PR out to fix that as well. Does anybody want to talk about file path status? Okay, I will take that as a no. So for the implementation status, go ahead.
Just I have a quick question because I am interested in this. I've been out for so long, so I don't know where we started on this. But so, what's the motivation behind adding the note here? Like, are we trying to deprecate this field, or?
I mean, deprecate's a strong word. Like, I don't think, but like, I started the conversation with deprecation. I think, you know, it was brought up that some people might want to use it in the context of other things. We're just clarifying that nobody really supports it. So if you want to use it, we really need to go through like the full like feature implementation of using file path. It's not just saying, well, it's in the Parquet thrift. Like therefore we will use it and expect other people to like be able to read it.
So this is like a deprecation light, like this exists, but
baby steps towards deprecation.
Yeah.
So it's used in so in the Parquet file, it's not used, right? But there's the summary file, which combines the footer of all the files in the same folder, right? That does use it, right? So it's used only in this context. So that's why we're not, I mean, if it were not for that use case, we could just remove the field from the metadata and say it's not used, don't use it, I'll deprecate it. But since it's used, the same Thrift data structure is used in the summary file, and it's using it in this context, then we have to leave it, right? But so that's why it's a note and not a full. Let's remove that field, right?
And Dan was pushing on some Iceberg use cases which he thought maybe should use it, but I think those are specifically the things that like need to be discussed as like new features effectively. Like if we expect like Parquet implementations to be able to like honor and reading it. Anurag?
Yeah, I think I'm one of those people who are interested in using this for the Iceberg ones. I think I was discussing with Dan Weeks as well. So for me, what does basically my use case is to use this for kind of like doing efficient column updates in Iceberg, maybe write like column files and then have them stitched together in the Parquet layer. So I was trying to see if this field can be used for that. So when you say it's not deprecated, like, and then in the future, if I want to use this for that use case, what do we have to do? Like have a formal proposal to use that?
There needs to be like a formal proposal with 2 reference implementations that can actually read it in the way that people want to. It's not clear to me. What's come up in the past is it's not clear to me Parquet is the place to like do this stitching, right? And so like I think what has not been forthcoming from anybody is actually like any sort of formal proposal and like design as to why it's best placed in Parquet, and then like actually doing the work in Parquet to make it usable.
Yeah. I totally agree. Yeah, I think we're looking at it in two ways. What can we do in the Iceberg spec itself? And should we do it there or should we do it in Parquet? But I agree with you. We need a formal proposal to even kind of leave that there. So I'll work on that. Thanks.
Yeah, no. So to be clear, I think being able to stitch files together like at the Iceberg level, I think is a great feature. It's not clear to me that it belongs in Parquet, and like there's been some discussions, but like without seeing it on paper and explaining why it's needed.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah. I'm working on a proposal. Hopefully, I can have some doc and then some justifications on why it should be in Iceberg versus Parquet.
I'm very interested in that use case too. I would love to help if like the Iceberg side or whatever. So.
Sure, yeah. Thanks for that.
So yeah, interested. We have Anurag and Kenny, and I think it's fair to say Dan has opinions, right? We say there's no consensus. I think last time Dan was saying we don't want to deprecate it because we may want to support it in the future. So I think there's so the short story is we want to document their current behavior. We don't want to make a decision yet on actually deprecating it or not. And the jury's still out on whether they should be a Parquet or Iceberg feature. I think Micah's opinion is probably not in Parquet. We still have discussions going on.
Again, I think a lot of people have thought about this more deeply, so there might be a reason to do it.
Yeah.
There, but
maybe more to add to this. I think also Dan's idea behind this, he's much better explained this, is slightly different. I think it's more like splitting out like, and for example, if you have LM use cases, you have like vastly different column sizes. It could be beneficial, for example, to split like one of these columns out in a separate file. I think that's more like what Dan his angle was. And just to complete it. So I think there, I don't know exactly what your intentions are with Iceberg, but there was like some similar ideas and proposals around it. So just
actually I think there are more than one angles we are looking at. Like there's white table support, and then there is large binary blobs, and then there is efficient column updates, or in ML cases they're called backfills, where we want to update just a subset of columns, and not the whole table, but all the rows for a subset of columns and things like that. So yeah, it's a major effort, I would say, and then we still have to figure out what we want to do. It's still early stages at this point.
Just as a further comment, this may be something that we'll get more clarity on once the Iceberg file API gets pushed through finally, because at that point then we'll have a clearer line of distinction between where Parquet sits and where like a file format that's effectively intended to be used as a directory from the top down, where you have a bunch of stuff nestled into it already, and you have the spillover cases as well, which we're seeing for multimodal stuff, which is interesting, but there's a point of how much becomes too much, where, again, is it worthwhile putting this into Parquet?
And to be clear, like one thing that could work here is just like effectively what happens with summary files today, right? Like if you look at summary files, I think they're kind of what you need for the like multi-column use case anyways. So it's a question of like, do you need to modify the Parquet specification to like make that work, or like do you keep the reader stuff in Iceberg?
Because in Iceberg, I can transactionally modify the summary and the files that it points to.
Yeah, or like I mean, it's effectively like a different reader, right? Like you even need like you could even do what you're intending to do and just like not call Parquet files anymore, right? Or like that. I don't know. It's something to be considered. I haven't my initial reaction is it's a lot of complexity for Parquet, and like I don't know if it belongs there, but that's. But again, like I think I tend to process things better when I can read a document on understanding motivation. So
also just kind of a weird note on this, like it's at the column chunk level, not like a top level thing. So it starts to get weird if you like you would effectively have to have the same row group sizes across different, it gets really weird. So yeah, it's not very well designed, but I do have the problem, or I do have a use case of like adding the columns. Although even as somebody who has implemented both Parquet and Iceberg, I kind of think it belongs to Iceberg.
Is it the Lance DB approach to basically lock a column size and then like a number of rows in a logical grouping, and then you get as many files as you want, but they all have to only have rows within that grouping? Like, do we have a way around that? Sorry, we should wait for a proposal. I'm thinking ahead on how this could look.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Do we want to move on to the next topic, or do we still have comments on this?
Final question is the summary files were pretty heavily used with Spark. Do any of the other implementations like highlight the existence of summary files? Do people even know that these things are an option?
I think Dask will use them.
Okay.
But outside of those, I'm not sure.
It might be worthwhile then having a pin somewhere of saying, hey, if you have a lot of Parquet files in a directory, are all the readers and writers capable of interacting with these files in a clean and easy way? And is this something worth putting as a oh boy,
yeah,
Kenny.
and there's kind of like correctness issues here also. Like if you back on the thread, like it was never officially done in Parquet because like it's actually never been officially documented in Parquet, like at a spec level. But like there's this discussion about wanting to deprecate it. Julian has smirk on his face.
But I'm just sorry. Like, yes, I know we did this. I'm going to talk to him after the meeting. Yeah, no, I'm going to have conversations with myself on the previous actions. Sorry, it is no. This is true. All you're saying is true. Someone didn't think this true, right? I know.
They've got performance penalties in cloud as well. So at least to date. So I think it's why we tend not to encourage or enable it in cloud deployments for that reason. Those summary files.
Yeah. Originally, I added the summary file because you have a bunch of files in a folder. So when you read, you just it's a lot faster to open that one file than having to open like dozens of footer. I think today, it's a poor man's approach to what Iceberg is doing a lot better. So maybe, it's just, I would think maybe at some point we could deprecate it, if like we happy table formats are like widely adopted and all of that. In the meantime, I know at least on the Java side, I had some logic. If someone adds files afterwards in the same folder, right, and they're not in the summary file, the Java logic will make sure to double check it's not missing any files, right? And it's like you have not modified things like that. And so it will still be correct if you added files, right? Of course, if you do more things like keeping the same name but changing the content of things like that, and not respect things, you would have problems. But it does. It is relatively resilient. But yeah, I don't know. Personally, I think the future of summary files is to disappear to the benefit of Iceberg. And that's what I would think. Yeah. And sorry, feel free to discuss the things and not worry about my feelings. I know, like some things, we're not designed well enough to start with, but that's why we have a broader group of people to think about it now.
On the implementation status thing, I just wanted to call out that there was some discussion on the mailing list for people that follow there, but I spent some time late last year like redoing implementation status to be kind of data driven and to also add a table which shows what release like features grouped by year are actually supported in. So the main thing is a call to action is if you work closely with an engine that is not already documented there, it would be great to get it added on there. I'm trying to work with some people who are more experts in Spark to get it Spark documented. But I think Iceberg has its own reader, and also Snowflake for people based off the audience in the call would be, I think, good additions there. And if anybody works closely with Trino also, I was thinking of filing an issue with him to see if they could fill it out. But I think the wider coverage we have for understanding what's kind of supported where is helpful.
So you were talking about the implementation status path.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I saw that share my window, but I'm sharing my tabs.
Yeah. So I was just so more call to action for like. Hopefully it's easier to add things now because it's just essentially copying over a YAML file and like updating some of the things, but it's kind of all the way at the bottom. If you look there, you can see, and this is not 100% accurate. Some older versions might support some of these things, but this is based off of kind of the data that we have. If you mouse over the X's, you can see what's missing. You should be able to. I don't know if they show up on the broadcast, but.
Oh, yeah, they don't. So they show up on my screen, but they're not showing up on the share. Yeah, so it says I'm hovering like those QDF and iParquet, and it says missing byte stream split, additional type.
And variant, I think, is. Oh no, I guess. Yeah, it depends on the year, right? So variant was introduced in 2025. The byte stream split additional types was just applying the encoding to additional types. So it might be supported in Parquet, but I couldn't really tell. Kenny, if you just want to open up a PR to clarify that, or
I'll take a look. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it says that. So for 2025, it says missing byte stream split and variant, and for QDF, it says byte stream split, variant, geometry, and geography.
Yeah. So people can see.
Nice.
What's there. Also, if anybody wants to fix, RC++ for variant, I'm sure somebody would be happy.
Nice. Right, that's great. And I think, if we, so we have good coverage on the open source things, but I think if vendors could put their information for their proprietary implementations, I think that'd be awesome. And that would do visibility as well. Right? Thanks. Cool. Okay, it's 29. Let me go back to my notes. Okay. So next topic, Parquet input stream optimizations. I think that was from Ahmar.
Hey, hi everyone. I sent an email around yesterday and a couple of months ago as well about this. So basically, I work for S3, and we started a project called Analytics Accelerator, which was focused on improving query performance for Parquet workloads. And the idea was it would implement like best practices when reading Parquet. So things like read vectored, eliminating those like multiple reads that happen to the footer, like when reading the page index, and that footer dance with the 8 bytes. And then eliminating like extra head requests, and it also implements sequential prefetching, which I think is useful when doing things like discp and compaction. So Google also came out with a similar project a few months ago. So that kind of got me thinking, like, is it really worth everyone kind of implementing these things separately, and can we find a home for it in the Parquet project or as a separate Apache project? So in the email I sent yesterday, there was a doc which had like some initial design. So I just wanted to bring that up here and just ask for like next steps. If that is something we're interested in doing, what would be, or like how should we approach this going forward?
Yeah, I think last time we talked about maybe this could be a submodule in the Parquet Java repo, right? That could be an option. And I think the other option that have been discussed is maybe if it becomes big, it can be a sub project, and then we can make different decisions depending on how big this becomes. If it takes a life of its own, Arrow was spun off out of Drill, and then Data Fusion was spun off out of Arrow, and I think that could be, if things need to evolve that way, that's an option. And I think we can start with making it a submodule in the project. I think that this is all in Java at the moment, right? Yeah. So anybody has opinion on that? I haven't looked at your email you sent yesterday yet. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries. I was just wondering, like, before we make code changes, is there like a proposal that I need to send out with a formal design, or like what is the process before like submitting a PR?
I think this doesn't modify the format, right? This is so I don't think we need to go through the formal proposal project, right? This is more about, we're changing the format, this has a bigger impact on the whole ecosystem, right? Like, so you can keep optimizing the access without impacting anybody in the ecosystem, except they're going to go faster, right? So it's kind of good. So I think you can purely have a GitHub issue linking to your document, right? And I think next thing, we can have a discussion on there. And next thing, you open a PR to add those things. And since it doesn't, as long as your modifications are backward compatible, which I think they should be, right? That's I don't think we need a formal proposal for this, right? It's a lighter weight process. Just write PRs. If you don't get reviews fast enough on your PRs, you can use this meeting to tell people, hey, please look at my PR. Or if you need more discussions on this.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Anybody has opinions on how this should go? Feel free to chime in.
Is this more like a code donation? I think that's the only.
Oh, right.
I have. Or is this like actually developing from scratch in Parquet Java?
So it's not entirely a code donation. Like so we have that library, but I don't think it makes sense to like move all of it over into the project. And it's quite bloated what we have right now. So I think now that we've learned like what works and what's useful, I'll pick out things that I know make the most impact and then move them over.
Okay, yeah. I mean, as long as we're attributing, I think that stuff correctly, and like I think there's other like things like backwards compatibility and like migration and deprecations, but hopefully those can be covered on pull requests, like rather than having a formal proposal. I think Fokko is probably the person most actively working on Java in the meeting that I know of. I don't know, Fokko, if you have any thoughts.
Just to get PRs reviewed?
Yeah, like if there's any other process that we should be careful of or any issues we should be highlighting for like this work.
No,
I
I
have
think
a little concerns.
Okay.
Ahmar, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Hello, Ahmar. Nice to speak to you again. Don't worry, I'm not giving you a hard time. For people who don't know, we've been working on all this stuff. Is actually when a donation comes, is how to do testing, because a lot of your testing has all been internal against your stores, hasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the open source one, you got to say we have a near zero cost way of testing. The good news is there are quite a few large Parquet data sets out in being published by Amazon and people like that, but it's just a matter of wiring it all up. It's going to be fun. The other thing is, of course, is there might also be some changes within the entire code base that helps the object stores and is not counterproductive to classic file systems. Not just passing file status around, rather just file name as a way of saying what it is you want to open. And we shouldn't forget about those or build them out of the API. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool.
Thank you for working on that, and welcome to this group. And we're looking forward to hear more of your contributions.
Thank you.
Yeah, I had put an item. So, and please, if there's something else you want to talk about in this topic, please stop me. But otherwise, moving to the new encoding. So I just wanted to ask where we at. Maybe not much happened over the holidays break, but just wanted to check. I think actually the people who've been working on that are not in the meeting today, right?
Hey, Julian. So
Oh, yeah, you are. Hi.
I can share a quick update on FSST. So things slowed down towards the end of holidays, but thanks to Micah, we had some great reviews on the doc. So the final piece where we're blocked on is how we want to represent the FSST symbol table in the format. So the current status is we are planning to do it very similar to how the official FSST library does this. And for Arrow, this just means that we bring in the dependency. For Java and for Rust, it may mean that we actually write this in Java and Rust going forward. So I plan to do this for Java once we are able to land this in Arrow. So just waiting on some final comments from Micah and a couple of other folks on the doc. Once we have that, we'll be able to go forward with the PR. We also now support encrypted CLI commands in Parquet Java. So the PR is out. Fokko, if you could please take a look when you have time, that'd be awesome. And for composite encodings, I'll take a look at that once we go through with FSST.
Yeah, I mean, I think before we merge anything into Arrow, we need the PR on like the encodings description to like document it at the specification level. So I might have missed the steps there, right? Like, so we, so like once we have like the PR for the encoding and like we think Arrow implements it, we then need Java, and then we can actually vote and like merge it. But like the order is kind of spec change plus 2 implementations, and then everything gets merged versus like merging something into Arrow without actually having an official spec or something like that.
Yeah, of course. I think once we have the clearance on doc, I'll start with the spec change. Makes sense. We'll start with spec and then the implementation.
Okay.
If anyone wants to do it in Rust, I'd be happy to review PRs, by the way. Just fishing out there.
Yeah, Andrew, I'll try to take that once we do with Java. We'll share the PRs.
To be clear, I wasn't suggesting you have to do it. I was trying to fish from a broader audience.
Yeah, I mean, one thing, Andrew, I don't know if you know this off the top of my head. Like, I know there's crates out there for FFST in Rust land, but I don't know if they like decided to have like a different representation for the dictionary. Like
yeah,
that.
I don't know either is the short answer. The only one I know is from Vortex, which they claim follows the C++ implementations from CWI, but I haven't reviewed the code, so I don't know how close or far that actually is from reality.
Right. Okay. And that's kind of we want like a spec for the byte layout for those dictionaries, so that like we have one canonical, like this is
yeah,
what
absolutely.
Okay. I think Tika isn't here. I just have an email from an inbox where I think it looks like he worked a bit on like what a spec might look like and wanted some early reviews. So it seems like there's some progress there as well for ALP.
Sorry, you're saying there's progress on ALP?
Yeah, I think he spent some time like doing a revision on like some of his PRs and some of his docs, and he just, I think, updated at least the PR and maybe the document that he's been working on. So there's some progress there. Also, I think we're probably close enough that we want to like also have the spec PR out for ALP to like make sure that's reviewed and then like figure out the second implementation.
Okay. We'll check with Pratik at the next meeting.
Yep.
Okay, and oh yeah, and just I put a quick update on the encrypted CLI you mentioned, Arnav. There's kind of side topic in there. Okay, thank you very much for the update. And is Alkis around?
I think he's in another meeting and maybe he couldn't join today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does someone else want to do an update on the flat buffer footer?
Yeah, actually, I want to update something.
Okay.
So we have opened a PR in Arrow CPP, and it has the new flat buffer footer, and I have integrated into the Parquet reader and writer, and we have some basic tasks. And I think someone else is working on the Rust implementation.
Yeah, that's me.
Yes, Rock. Thanks. And we need someone to help to review the PR and move things going forward.
Which PR are you referring to specifically?
The first one.
So that would be 48431. This one. So do we still need discussion on ironing out the last details for the new footer, or do we have consensus on the final form of it? I think last time I remember we had some discussion about maximum file size, but I think that was we had a solution for this. And so do we consider that we all good on the new footer?
I think maybe the way of answering that is I posted the actual like flat buffer footer PR in the chat, and I also updated the doc. It looks taking a quick scan through it. It seems like the main thing that looks like there's some to-dos here that we need to decide if they're blockers. I don't know that encryption is a immediate blocker, but and then it looks like column header was moved someplace else, so maybe we should just remove the to-do there. And those seem like the things that were not there. I think yeah, so I guess we should probably review this. And the other thing that is, I think this is missing a bunch of comments for like at the depth of like the Parquet thread thing, so that we probably need a revision there.
Yeah, I think this we should make sure we have a good representation of reviews in this. We need to decide if the encryption is a blocker. It sounds like it might, right? So we need to basically adding encryption metadata to the specs so that encrypted files can be supported. And we need to make sure we're on the same page, right? Like in particular, if people from various vendors could look at this and make sure. I know that internally at Datadog, we look at this and we're interested in using it. for our internal use cases because it speeds up access to metadata. We see benefits from it. Yeah. Internally, I'll ask people to do a review on the final points as well. So this is if you have comments on the details of the format, please pick up now, not when we are finalizing the implementations. Is everybody happy with it? Okay.
I think we should give people time to review. I don't know if that's a joke, but
we should what? Sorry.
Give people time to review. I don't know if that's interesting.
Well, sure. But it's just like, now is a good time to start doing it.
Yeah. I mean, there's trade-offs, and if people think the trade-offs are worth it, it makes sense to me. Not that, of course, I have the final say, but I'm not going to stop it either, obviously.
No, but yeah, please give feedback. Okay.
Actually, I have a couple of questions, and don't worry, I'm not going to argue about the formats. What languages have people done implementations in of the new Flatbuff reader?
My PR is using C++, and Rock's PR is using Rust.
And nobody's had any problems at all in those languages, yeah?
Yeah.
All right, that's my concern satisfied. Thanks.
One more thing I want to mention. So the flatbar footer is basically like a field added to the previous thread footer. And if we want to roll out this feature, it means the footer size will be increased. Yeah. So even we have a proper implementation, we still need to work on like proper rollout because it will have some effect.
Yeah, we need a proper plan for rolling out. I think there's probably involve making it optional to start with, even this is implemented, like adding it only if people ask it. And then, it's backwards compatible. So of course it makes the files bigger, but all readers will ignore it. And then at some point, there's the longer phase. I don't know at what time frame we'd want to do that, but at some point it becomes, if we remove the old footer, right, it becomes an incompatible change, and we'll need to figure out what timeline we want to do that, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think first part for like the just larger footer, I think most of these, at least C++ has like options, like, flags that have a default value of either true or false that we should be able to use for at least initially, and we can decide when we want to flip it onto true.
Yeah. So just go ahead. Sorry.
I say, yeah, retirement is a lot more controversial. One of the things I think would be good to actually have something which can take a file and audit it and make sure the two are consistent. And that's partly for security reasons. Is quite often you see have situations with things like XML parsers where you can get you the first level of their enterprise security system because their parser isn't doing the same checks or making the same mistakes as the internal stuff is. And we don't want something that sneaks a malicious Parquet schema by somehow or something like that.
Yeah. So I'll add this. So yeah, the first step will be to make it not written by default when it's implemented. And then we need rollout plan, consistency, validation.
I guess this might also go to scope of like the initial PRs, but I don't know if like if the PRs actually like will output a different magic number and like just write out the flat buffer, or is are all the PRs assuming that this is using kind of the extension mechanism, which just says like, here's an additional footer that you can check for.
Sorry, are you asking me?
If anybody knows, otherwise I
Oh
can.
yeah. So actually, the flatbar footer, they have a similar like magical number, UUID, and every time internally, if we do any update to the flatbar footer representation, we update the UUID, and only if the UUID is matching, we are decoding the footer.
Yeah, I think this is more okay. So this is all only used. All the PRs are only using the extension type. There's no like PR that says
Yes,
like we
yes.
have to do
Definitely.
like a magic number. Okay.
We should probably also create data sets for, well, files for Parquet testing. One option would be to simply add the flat buffer footer also to all the data there, or all the files, or create a new folder with copies of test files with just this new footer.
Yeah, I don't know if we need to replicate all the Parquet data, but certainly like something that gives us good coverage across all the features that are used would be helpful.
Okay, we have a few minutes. Do we want to look at the proposal, the format quickly while we're here? To just refresh people's memory on this. Right. So this is Micah, what you were talking about. So there's you're suggesting to add more comments.
Yeah, I think we need the same comments, and that we kind of have. If this is ultimately going to replace the Parquet thrifting, we probably want the same level of comments there.
Yeah. And are we officially calling this Parquet v3? I think if we are when we make the change incompatible in the future of, removing support for the old footer, that will become v3 or something.
Yeah, I don't know. That's bike shedding that can happen on the PR. I don't know.
Oh, it's just it's up at the top. But yeah, I don't have a strong opinion on this. Right. So this needs to be turned into the actual doc. Yeah. And I think there was some discussion, right, on things that are removed and or changed to make the footer more compact. So yeah, I think this has changed in previous discussions. In particular, we had talked about enabling bit shifting or like multiplied by a power 2, so that, and just padding row groups so that they can be any size. That's a cost of padding a little bit. Okay, so there's the. I think we need to comment on that PR quite a bit. Any other questions on this? Any other topic, things people want to bring up? Any thanks people want to give to people who reviewed their PR in the past, in recent time? But thank you all to be part of this community, and we'll follow up on the mailing list. So there are a few things. Remember, I think we need votes on the release. We need you feel free to add. I sent on the mailing list a draft report for the board. If there's something you've been working on, please feel free to add a blurb in there in the project activity so that we can highlight it in the report. And there are a few PRs that need attentions and reviews that are listed in the notes here. So please take a look, and I'll see you on the mailing list and at the next meeting in 2 weeks. Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.